It always begins the same way. She doesn't love you. Not really. She loves what you reflect back to her. An image, a feeling, a spark she once lost and now sees flickering in you. You think it's love because it feels like love. The attention, the way she leans in, the intensity in her gaze. But she's not seeing you. She's seeing a mirror. And when the reflection fades, so does her desire. Philosopher Martin Buber warned of this in his concept of I-it relationships. You think you're sharing a soul with someone? But in reality, you've become a thing to her, a means to an end, an idea, not a man. And here's the problem. You go along with it, willingly, because being seen, even as an illusion, feels better than being invisible. You shape yourself around her needs, her wants, her stories, until you can't tell where she ends, and you begin. But that isn't love. That's performance. That's psychological codependency dressed up as romance. And the cruelest part? You think you're the exception. You think, this time it's different. But it's not. It never is. Because the roles are older than both of you, written long before you met, archetypes carved into culture. She, the idealist chasing salvation. You, the savior who doesn't know he's being sacrificed. And what happens when you drop the act? What happens when you stop smiling on cue? You become disposable, unpredictable, a threat to the narrative. The philosopher Simone de Beauvoir once said, "To be loved by another is to be seen through the lens of their own becoming." In other words, she loves the potential of who you could be for her, not who you already are. You keep trying to fix this by being better, more attentive, more available, more agreeable. But the more you bend, the less she sees you. You become translucent, a ghost in your own life. And you tell yourself it's noble. That sacrifice is part of love. But what you've really sacrificed is yourself. Nietzsche called this ressentiment, the quiet, festering self-betrayal that comes from denying your own will in favor of someone else's. You start to resent her, but really, you resent the mask you chose to wear. So here's the question no one wants to ask. What if the love you thought you needed was just a distraction from the love you refused to give yourself? Real love, authentic connection. It doesn't start with being chosen. It starts with choosing yourself, with standing in your own solitude, unshaken, with being misunderstood and not flinching. Because when you finally become a man who doesn't need to be seen to exist, that's when you're no longer a reflection. You become the source, the light itself. And women, they feel it. The groundedness, the silence that doesn't reach for attention, the gaze that doesn't plead for approval. The woman who sees that, not as a fantasy but as a reality, she won't project onto you. She'll meet you, not with illusion but with presence. But here's the catch. She may never arrive. And you have to be okay with that. Because the point of becoming whole was never about being chosen. It was about waking up, breaking the mirror, and finally seeing yourself, not as someone else's idea of a man, but as your own.